Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Car Chronicles, where I share random things on my mind whilst I'm driving in the car parked. I'm currently going to pick up my son from school. And I was just thinking this whole morning, I've been thinking about the power of people's stories and people's voices, and just how you can learn from people's experiences and learn from the people. If we think generationally, like people in Africa, there wasn't social media, people weren't really writing books like that, but actually like people left things and people left ways of being, culture, through telling stories and through sharing their experiences. I'm one person that's very curious. I like to know and understand things. So don't tell me that this is culture. Where did that come from? Who came about with that? And why? And I like to know the why behind things. So it just made me think like how powerful people's voices are, how powerful people's stories are. There are people like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, who told this. We know of their stories because they used their voices and they spoke and they shared their stories. But imagine if someone like Martin Luther King had never stepped out and told his story and documented his story. We wouldn't know who he was. And in the same light, I was thinking that for me, like, how can I use my voice and my story to share with others? Now, I'm not really expecting a large platform. I don't expect to be a Nelson Mandela or anyone big like that. I mean, if I am, then cool. But if not, just in my day-to-day life, day-to-day living, how could I use my experiences and my knowledge or the information that I know? Because one thing I've learned, and I'm learning more recently now, is not everyone knows what you know. Just because you know it and it comes naturally to you doesn't mean that someone else knows. So you've been through something that could help someone else and you think, oh, that's just nothing, everybody knows that. But actually that's not true. And the more I speak to people, the more I realize that things that I think, oh, like this is just normal, this is, everybody knows this, no they don't. And how much are we holding back from the world and from society when we keep our voice quiet? I'm really bad at parking. That's good enough. Yeah, how much are we holding back from sharing with people in society when we keep quiet? So often we like to hold back parts of our stories that we don't like, or parts of us that we're ashamed of, or we don't want to expose because they're ugly or they're not polished. But there's so much power and strength and vulnerability in sharing that you did something, you learned from it, you've got the scar to prove it, and actually being able to tell someone else who's younger than you or who's walking in the direction that you walked in and tell them, I've been down that path and that doesn't end well, and this is what happened when I do it. So that's been on my mind. That's been on my mind quite a bit today. Just how, one, we can learn from hearing other people's experiences and stories and testimonies. I think that's why there's a power of like sharing your testimony, because that can help someone else who's going through the same thing, or someone who knows someone who's going through that thing, and they can be encouraged knowing that someone went through this, they overcame, and they're there to tell the story. So it could be you're currently going through a divorce, or you've been divorced and you want to hide that part and not talk about it and not share it, but actually like that part of you could help someone else. There might be lessons in that divorce, or something that you thought, oh, actually I might have done things differently, I wish I could have done things differently. Share that with someone else. We want to portray that we've got it all together. We don't. Nobody has everything all together. Everybody's a work in progress. Everybody is a work in progress, and I never want people to Like, perfect doesn't exist. There's no such thing as perfection. No such thing. And I never want people to think, oh, this she's perfect, because I'm not. The fact that we've got flesh, we're human beings, means that perfection doesn't exist. So stop trying to be perfect. Those stories, those experiences, that history, whatever it is, like, share it. Don't be afraid. Don't hide that. There is strength in vulnerability, and you'll find that when you share parts of you that you think, oh, people are gonna judge and people are gonna do this, you'll be surprised that people will be like, oh my god, I went through that as well. Oh my god, I'm currently going through that as well. Oh, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. And people learn and people grow. I've got such a heart for people growing and people learning and people being better versions of their current self. And I think we can only do that when we're willing to share, willing to be transparent, willing to be vulnerable to an extent, and say, like, this is me, this is who I am, this is my story. And owning that you can never take back what's happened in the past. You can't take back your history. That is part of who you are. So why should we feel the need to hide parts of ourselves, the flawed, the bad, the ugly? I don't know. So, and I think it's also interesting coming from a cultural background where it's private. You don't talk about matters outwardly. Everything is private, and everything is, you deal with it internally. You mask a lot, and then when you go out there, you're this perfect person. And I don't know. I think it portrays, like, I understand. I'm not really saying go put your dirty laundry out there and, you know, be posting all of these things that are private about your family and all these things. But I do think there is just so much strength in our voices. There is so much that we can get from people's experiences. The older generation sharing and teaching this new generation. What do you guys think? Anyway, thanks for tuning into my car chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. What are your thoughts? What do you think about sharing your story and using your voice to impact, and using your testimony to help others? Is that something that you've done before, or are you more, my business is my business and I'm only thinking about myself and nobody needs to hear that? I'm interested to find out what you guys think. Be blessed.